take your seat and allow the minister to answer the questions asked of him. You don't need to get up on any point of order.
No, not the
I'm being denied an
Madam
opportunity
Speaker.
to ask questions on behalf of the people of Jamaica.
No, but you're all standing. Anyway, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, this is a matter of grave national importance. And I know that you would like for the people of Jamaica to get the answers that they deserve.
What is the House
absolutely
rule
nothing
that you're speaking
in the
to?
standing orders which would prevent our members from asking the relevant questions on this matter. In addition, I would like to know, because perhaps you're planning to take the questions in batches. Perhaps it is that you're going to allow the minister to answer the questions already asked, and then you plan to reopen questions for additional answers. Is that the case, Madam Speaker? If so, we'll await his response and then allow for others to ask questions.
It is a wonder that wasn't contemplated by the members who rudely stood up and decided to protest. House Leader.
And listen to the exchange here.
Madam Speaker earlier made a very substantive statement, and I think it does require the kind of reflection that she has indicated. Madam, Mr. Speaker, a point of order.
Point of order. The Speaker makes a statement. Then none of us can respond to a ruling or statement. You don't. You are here long enough. You know better than that. Not because you're getting whole and cripplix. You know better than that. You. No. Mr. Speaker, the Speaker made a ruling, she spoke. None of us can respond to what the Speaker says. You find some other agenda item to say. Fitz, shut your mouth. You know you're talking nonsense. You know better than that. Mr. Speaker, that said, she made a statement. The member knows better than that. You can't respond to the Speaker's statement. There's another. You can find an item to respond, but you can't respond to a Speaker's statement. You cannot.
Now I have to ask the question, was that another disregard for the standing orders, or was that ignorance and not knowing the standing orders? Really? When you notice that there was no pushback because Warmington was right about the standing orders. They all need to go and read the standing orders so that the House can run more smoothly.
In the spirit of proceeding with the business of the House, I have many times in the past ignored personal disrespect from a few members of the opposition, including derogatory, subtle references, slurs, and disrespectful posturing. On or around March 5th, 2026, the member rose from her seat and boisterously declared that you want me to behave like a virago. Me I go behave like a virago. Before we proceed with the business of the House, I wish to address the events which occurred during last Tuesday's sitting. I do so not to prolong controversy, but because some moments require more than silence. They require reflection, they require correction, and they require us as members of this honorable House to remind ourselves and indeed the country of the standards by which Parliament must conduct itself. Last Tuesday, during the committee stage of the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority Bill, the Honourable Member of St. Andrews South West removed the mace from its place in this chamber. The member was named under the standing orders, ordered to withdraw, and the House took a decision in relation to her suspension for the remainder of the sitting. Thereafter, the Leader of Opposition and other members of the opposition engaged in a standing protest and chants in open defiance of the authority of the Chair and the order of the House. The record will speak for itself, but I must speak to what the moment means, because what occurred was not simply a breach of order by one member. It was a wider challenge to the authority of the chair and the orderly conduct of the House. The mace is not a decoration. It is not a prop. It is not an object to be used in protest. It is the symbol of the authority of this House. It represents the authority under which we meet, debate, disagree, vote, and make laws on behalf of the people of Jamaica. So when the mace is interfered with, the issue is not simply about an object being moved. The issue is whether the authority of the House itself is to be respected. That is why this moment cannot be reduced to political theatre. It is not about government or opposition. It is about whether this Parliament, which belongs to the Jamaican people, will be allowed to conduct the people's business with order, dignity, and respect. Members, values and attitudes matter. Only today, many of us participated in Read Across Jamaica Day. We went into schools, read to children, encouraged them to learn, to listen, to reason, to respect themselves and others, and to become responsible citizens. What then is the example we set for those same children when we look at the parliament of their country? If a student believes that a teacher has been unfair, do we encourage that student to disregard the teacher, disrupt the class, seize what does not belong to them, and refuse to follow instructions? Or do we teach the student that there are proper avenues to raise concerns, challenge a decision, and seek redress? Of course, members of this House are not regarded as students, but the same principle applies here. A member may disagree with the chair. A member may disagree with a ruling or even believe that the process is unfair. But the answer cannot be disorder, defiance, or contempt for the institution. The standing orders itself provides the avenues by which members may raise objections, seek clarification, challenge procedures, move amendments, divide the House, and place their disagreement on the record. Those rules exist not to silence members, but to protect every member, including those in the minority. Order is not the enemy of democracy. Order is what makes democracy possible. That is true in this House, and it is true in ordinary life. In any meeting, whether it be board, citizens association, church, committee, a school body, or a community organization, there must be a chair. There must be an agenda. There must be rules. There must be order. If every person decides that they will only follow the rules when they agree with the chair, then no meeting can function. No business may be completed and no decision can be trusted. The same is true in this chamber, but with far greater consequence. The rules of this House were not created for the convenience of any one speaker, any one government, or any one opposition. They are a part of a long parliamentary tradition shared across Commonwealth jurisdictions and reflected in the standing orders under which we all serve. Members may wish to modernize them. Members may wish to review them. That is their right. But until they are changed by proper process, they bind us all. Many parliaments across the Commonwealth, including republics, continue to use the mace or similar types of symbols to mark the authority of the legislature. The point is not whether Jamaica is a monarchy or a republic. The point is that every parliament must have a symbol, rules, and practices that mark the seriousness of the work being done. To ridicule those symbols while benefiting from the authority they represent is neither principled or helpful. I am particularly mindful of the sentiment expressed by some that an indigenous object which reflects and gives expression to our Jamaican identity is desirable. That process, however, requires constitutional reform and consensus. But let me hasten to point out, the events of last week were not merely about symbolism. At the center of our focus should be whether we are prepared to conduct ourselves with discipline and regard for rules. We, as a parliament, cannot promote indiscipline, misconduct, and then require discipline of Jamaicans from all walks of life, including our children. However, some have sought to turn the issue into one concerning the maize and other colonial past. Regarding that narrative, I will state briefly. Public records will reflect that during the life of the last parliament, the executive arm of the state had moved to adjust the constitutional requirements and arrangements, but required consistency and consensus with the opposition. That wasn't achieved. Hence, the process has not advanced. I am of the view that the majority of members of both sides of the House conduct themselves appropriately and with discipline. The majority. However, I note attempts by a few to subject the office of the Speaker of the House to ridicule and to be generally undisciplined. I note attempts by few to subject the office of Speaker in the past and more so in the present to constant indiscipline. In the spirit of proceeding with the business of the House, I have many times in the past ignored personal disrespect from a few members of the opposition, including derogatory, subtle references, slurs, and disrespectful posturing. However, let me clearly indicate today that my resolve to ensure discipline prevails in the House of Representatives is unshaken and will never be deterred. I will not be discouraged by any public sentiment, any public commentary, or personal attack from ensuring that a legacy of discipline prevails in the Parliament of Jamaica. With that being said, let me also say this clearly. The primary focus should not be on the occupant of the chair. Speakers will come and speakers will go. Governments will change. Oppositions will change. Members will come and members will go. But the authority of the House must remain. When the chair gives a direction, it's not a personal request. It is a direction issued under the authority of the House. If the authority is disregarded, the institution is weakened. It is repeatedly tested and no consequence follows. And when that is done, disorder becomes normalized. This was not the first occasion on which the conduct of this nature has tested the authority of the chair by the same member. On or around March 5th, 2026, the member rose from her seat and boisterously declared that you want me to behave like a virago, me I go behave like a virago, end quote. Restraint was exercised in the hope that the matter would not be repeated. No action was taken, but restraint must never be mistaken for permission. Patience must never be mistaken for weakness, and silence must never be mistaken for acceptance. The conduct displayed last Tuesday was absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable by the member, the leader of the opposition who led the stand-up, and the opposition. It was unacceptable not because of who occupied the chair, but because of what the chair represents. It is unacceptable because it undermines the very order of the House, the dignity of the parliamentary proceedings, and the respect due to the institution through which the people's business is conducted. Members, Robust opposition is not only permitted in the chamber, it is actually necessary. Debate must be vigorous. Scrutiny must be serious. The minority must, yes, be heard. But dissent does not become stronger when it becomes disorderly. It becomes weaker because it abandons the very rules that protect the respect to dissent. No member is above those rules. No grievance places a member above the authority of the House. No political disagreement justifies conduct that teaches the country and especially our children that bad behavior is acceptable once a person believes their cause is right. That is not the standard. I am asking members to respect the chair, respect the standing orders, observe them. Members who disagree with rulings or with process must use the proper parliamentary avenues available to them. To the people of Jamaica, I say, you are entitled to expect better from this House. You are entitled to expect members to disagree without degrading the institution. You are entitled to expect passion without disorder, protest without contempt, and leadership without spectacle. The Parliament belongs to you. Its dignity is your dignity. Its authority exists to serve you. And when the authority is treated casually, the injury is not to the Speaker alone. The injury is to the institution and to the people in whose name we sit. Each of us must therefore decide what example are we setting and what do we leave. We can leave behind a parliament weakened by disorder, spectacle and disregard for authority, or we can leave behind a parliament strengthened by discipline, restraint, respect for the rules, and make democracy a possibility for Jamaica for all future to come. I choose the latter. I invite every member of this House to do the very same.